Good evening, folks. How are you? This is Phil Russer with Creatorcon Q&A. We're back. Sorry about Friday. We've been away, but which seems like an eternity. We're so used to doing so many shows in a week. But I'm back, and I have a nice guest today. We're going to go over some indie goodiness. He's got a really good book out I read, and I really enjoyed. And we're going to talk about that today. Before we do, I just want to remind you, tomorrow we'll have artist Wade King, who is an awesome artist. And of course, we've got the show December 6th, and I'm going to do some shout outs for some people. We have Mad Titan Comics at Mad Titan _comics on Instagram. Eric Gunderson is the owner operator on Facebook, so go check him out for all your comic book needs. We've got Andy Lee with www.letsdudis.com, LESDUDIS. Andy is the awesome dude who does all my promo graphics. He's a wonderful human being, and he is really great with the pop culture and indie culture scene. So go check out his website. Thanks, Andy. My last guest was last Tuesday, Enrique Lopez. That was a 4-hour interview. So that's a 3-parter for you guys if you go to watch it on YouTube. Remember, YouTube, Creatorcon event. Please go subscribe. So Enrique Lopez is Kike Art. I forgot he changed it on Instagram, and he has his inking with Kike at 8 p.m. on Mondays. Anyway, and then we have It Came From the Radio, which is an online radio show. Host Mark Torres. They're on pretty much everything on the internet, so go check them out. They're great guys. I will be a guest next month prior to the December 6th show. Having said that and getting all that out there, thanks for all tuning in. I really appreciate the support and the love. I also appreciate the concern of people over the last couple of days, so thank you. It didn't go unnoticed, and I greatly appreciate it. Hey, Bradley's here. How are you, buddy? Heather, how are you? Wade is in the house. Okay. So without further ado, I want to introduce our guest tonight, Adam Barnhardt. He's an indie writer, and I have to tell you, his book is really good. I read it, and I find it very interesting. I thought it was well written, professionally written, and I'm looking forward to getting into it and talking about it. So without further ado, Adam Barnhardt. Hey.
Hey, Phil, how's it going?
How are you? Thanks for coming on the show, man.
Good. No, thanks for having me. As you can see, I'm trying to keep warm a little bit. It just snowed here, so
that's crazy.
Trying to keep it as warm as possible.
That's crazy. Yeah, we it got chilly today too, but oddly enough, it seems warmer now than it was all day.
Right.
Good thing I have all this insulation on my body that acts very well.
You and me both, man.
So you were kind enough to send me the book, and I read it, and I really, really enjoyed it.
Awesome.
So Adam, tell us a little about yourself before we get into the book. Max Lee says, "What is up?" Heather says, "Hi, Adam." Wade King, who will be on tomorrow, gives a thumbs up. So we're getting some love here.
Awesome. Hi, Heather. Hi, Max, I think it was. Hi, Wade. About myself. So by day, I am a professional entertainment writer, journalist for digital media website, comicbook.com. So I'm ingrained in the world of writing the way it is. And that's who I am.
Makes total sense.
This book is it's my debut published work. I had done some short stories beforehand, and this is my first published work. I did a one-shot self-published, and that fell flat on its face. Then I came up with this idea and pitched it, and here we are.
Well, right before we delve into that, first, John Ottinger, hello. Thank you for coming out as always. Dante, my friend, how are you, man? So I read the book. It has an interesting title. It's called Shit Show.
It is.
And if you read the book, you kind of understand why. I mean, because it's rough.
Yes.
It is a superhero book with magic and demons and a lot of things, but it also has some good characterization for a very first issue, which we'll get into. So before we get into that, let me ask you, who are your inspirations for writing? Because your writing was very solid in this book.
Thank you. First off, I appreciate that a lot. Inspirations, I mean, I have all sorts of, favorites. of course, I hate comparing myself to these guys, but one major person who I really like his style is Frank Miller, especially his Daredevil run. He has that narrative that you will see kind of carry over into this a little bit. It's not full on prose. Obviously, we're going to let the sequential art tell its story, but at the same time, we have this nice narrative to kind of equal things out. So I'd say Frank's a big inspiration. One of the biggest fans of Jeff Lemire's Black Hammer series. I love Black Hammer so much, and the world building he does there is incredible. And I look towards that a lot for inspiration. And pretty much any book Rick Remender does, it's just incredible world building from issue 1 on, and that's kind of what I wanted to do here. I guess is one, create a superhero story that a small press publisher would even take a chance on, because as cape books don't fly well with indie publishers sometimes. And two, obviously we wanted to build this world out, and who knows where it goes from here. So those were kind of the two main objectives, and that's kind of where all the inspiration came from.
Brian Silverbacks is with us. He's another indie guy, very successful. He says,
what's
up?
I know Brian.
Also, William Samuel Quinton says, congrats. Hey guys, thanks for coming out. And Dante in Fashion says his sex life is a shit show, so he needs to find this book.
Yes.
Now, I'm reading this book, and you do a nice job of, like you said, the narrating with dialogue. I mean, there's obviously there's dialogue from the characters. There's you as a writer narrating the story. A lot of times people don't know how to balance that, and I think you did an excellent job with that, because the narration also goes with the fact that you... Thanks, Chris. So my shirt is dope. Anyway, there is some time, flashbacking in the book, and I think you use that very well in a way to pace the book. And that leads to what I was going to say to you is, before we get into the story of the book and all that and the content, I think it's very hard when you're an indie guy and you don't have a name to rely on like Frank Miller or prior published work that people are going to go to it just because you wrote it. You have to establish a proper pace in a first issue that is very difficult. You can't be too slow for character development or you'll lose them and they won't come back for a second book. And you can't go so fast and rush through it that they didn't feel connected to the characters. And I think you really, on a professional level, balanced it out very nicely. So can you tell us a little about that, your writing process and how you plotted out the book, and were you conscious of that?
Very, 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 very conscious of that. I always go back to saying, John Wick's probably my favorite franchise across any medium, whether it's film, television, comic. I'm just really drawn to John Wick, and part of that is it's incredibly paced, and every movement tells a story, and that's another part of the inspiration here. The first notes, as you'll notice, I don't want to get into too many spoilers, but as you'll notice, in this series, especially the first issue, we introduce a lot of characters, right? That's very apparent right out of here. That's part of these world building processes, procedures, So it was very thought out, and that Charlie Day meme where he's like drawing the map on the wall, kind of. I have something similar on my office wall here. I'm looking at about how point A leads to point B, leads to point C, and all of that stuff. And I knew from the beginning I wanted to do the 2 timelines, right? Because I pitched this as a 3-issue micro series, and 3 issues doesn't allow a lot of time for that character development and all of that stuff. And at the same time, I'm like, well, I wanted to introduce this world of heroes. How are we going to do that if we only tell the story about the circus? So the circus is the present timeline, and then we interject back in the past to show you why Rich McCoy is our protagonist, why he is where he is. So it's if you've seen Arrow did that trick for most of its It's run, I think, the
I
two
think you did it better, though.
Thank you.
A lot
I
better.
appreciate
Arrow kind of
that.
frustrated me. I did thoroughly enjoy this.
Right. So, and that's the other thing I learned from Arrow. That's kind of where I got the idea, but at the same time, that can be very, very tiring and grating. Seeing that over and over again. So I didn't want to do it overboard. As the story progresses throughout the 3 issues, you will see there's less stuff to go back to. Because the first flashback you see, it's been on previews online, so we could talk about it. But page 2 and page 3, Balaam the demon's been summoned to Earth. So page 2 and page 3, that's the beginning of the end of the Age of Heroes, and it goes from that moment on until the present. So you bring up a good point. It is grating at some points. To at least balance 2 of those. It can be grading, I should say. So that's another thing I wanted to avoid while developing these 2 timeline stories.
I think you use that narration in accordance with the flashbacks, though, in a very intelligent way, to where you use that to provide the characterization. And I think that's why the pace flowed well for you, because of the way you were able to do that. Because Legend, which it's funny that you use that name. I'll explain that to you later.
Okay.
It ties into me a lot. Anyway, the protagonist, it helps you. He doesn't say really anything in this book himself, but through your flashbacks and narration, you feel like you can understand him and you relate to pain and you get him. And I thought that was great. And then you have all the supporting cast doing a lot more of the dialogue, which fleshed them out a bit. Now, this is a violent book. It is a little darker, but I wouldn't say it's... I think teenagers would be okay with this. I wouldn't have my 8 and 6-year-old look at it.
Right.
But which the title doesn't hide that.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
We have some questions here. Before we get into their questions, though, and we have some other people. Dell is here. Hey, Pappy is here. Where's the party? Party's here now that you're here.
Right.
What made you come up with this concept, and how much do you have of a world built? Because you're really setting some roots, some foundation in this book.
That's very true. And I'm super glad you picked up on that, because that's entirely by design. First, the idea came to me. I wanted to tell a story. I wanted to tell the Superman story. Obviously, it doesn't take a degree in brain surgery to realize Legend is our Superman, right? But how many times have we seen bad Superman or corrupt Superman or not normal Superman? So the idea came, well, maybe he's not bad Superman. Maybe he's just Superman that got his powers taken away because he can't stop drinking alcohol, right? So that's kind of the basis there. And from there, that led into the world of a circus. And I always explain it as the circus is this perfect mix of happiness and horror. Because you go to a circus and the lights are flashing and the music is playing, but at the same time you look over to the Ferris wheel, and the Ferris wheel hasn't been inspected since 1973, and it's holding together with 2 bolts, and you look over this way and it's the entrance to the freak show, or there's someone hopped up on meth or heroin behind the dumpster back there, and the speaker's only playing half the song, so it has this freak show type vibe, so it's this weird combination of awesome fun time but incredibly unsettling. So I mixed the Superman tale in with this, and the end result is shit show. The story we came up with. In terms of how much I have planned, I have more than one micro series planned, I'll tell you that. So I'm structuring everything as the traditional 3-act structure with movies and such. So I'm not sure how far I should say. I have 5 volumes. I have 5 stories in mind that I want to tell through this main story, and several branches and spin-offs. It's easily comparable to what Mike does with Hellboy, right? And he'll introduce someone in this issue, and then you'll completely forget about him until 20 years later when he gets a spinoff, or you're like, oh, that's the guy that appeared here, or that lady showed up in here and only had one line, and now she has her own book. So we're doing some of that here. Obviously, each volume I have planned is going to be a self-contained story. It's going to have the Magnificent McCoys. It's going to have an antagonist. Of course, over the 5 stories I have planned, there's development with the protagonist from issue to issue, of course. But for the most part, each volume is going to be a good hopping on point because it'll have a new antagonist or a new villain or whatever you want to call it. And then we'll see from there. After this first one comes out, I'm sitting on a tome of short stories. And we will see if that may or may not hit Kickstarter at some point after the first of the year to kind of complement this first batch of stories. So there are plenty of stories to be told, and we will see how far we get with it.
Well, Raphael, I want to ask, the art of narration these days is pretty much lost. What made you decide to go that route?
I thought it was easier. I hate writing dialogue. So, so it was part that. You'll see, like I mentioned previously, I have virtually almost all scripts done besides the end, or volume 5, I guess. And there is a shift between volume 1 and 2 where you can tell, admittedly, where I get into a better habit of the dialogue stuff. And you'll even see it throughout this issue, between, or this micro series from 1, 2, and 3, yeah, I guess there's no scientific or actual literary process behind it. Maybe I just don't like writing dialogue.
Well, that's another thing that comes up is, and I mean no disrespect to anyone, but I've read some books before where the writers overwrite, where they're explaining everything through the dialogue, where you tend to wind up talking down to your audience unintentionally. You don't have to let the art balance out the story. You have your dialogue, you have your narration, but you want the sequential to also tell some story. And sometimes a trap that writers fall into is over explaining. I'm going to punch you now, and I really feel that turns readers off. And you totally don't do that. You stay away from that, which I thought was great. Is that something else that you try to make a conscious effort to say, look, I got to see these like you have it all scripted out and then you see the panels, or do you look back when you see the panels and say, okay, I can pull back on this dialogue or tweak this because the art is helping tell the story?
Yeah, so I was just talking with someone about this. I was talking with a screenwriter who's developing something for Skybound right now, and his writing style. You look at his screenplay, and it's beat for beat. So and so placed the red pin on the front left on the table and left it there, and so did this and was shocked and all that stuff. And my writing style is nowhere near that detailed. Scott Snyder uploaded a really good video to YouTube, I think it was last year maybe, where he describes the difference between full script and Marvel style. So full script, you're kind of laying it out like a screenplay. You're writing panel 1 and then the description and then the dialogue, and then panel 2, the description and the dialogue. In Marvel style, you say page 1, here's what I want to happen on the page. Here's what's going to be said. And the artist takes it and makes however many panels they think it's all. And I kind of combine those two. I do write out panel by panel, but I don't put that much description in it. I will post the script sometime with it, but you'll see, and that it all depends on collaboration, right? So we have Samir doing the interior art on this, and I was very descriptive on the first 6 pages for our pitch. Then we developed that, and then I got into a rhythm. I knew how Samir worked, so I didn't need to be that descriptive. I could just say, Rich passed out in front of tent. I didn't have to put what color the tent was, where the sun was, who was in the background, right, so on and so forth. So I think a lot of that comes with the creative team and just how you work with the creative team on it as well. We've gotten to a point now. Samir pretty much does his work, and I stay back and don't do anything because he hits the nail on the head so many times. I've corrected him like twice, I think.
I thought his sequential storytelling was very good.
It's great. It's great. The team. I am blessed to have the team that came on board with this. We'll see. I know Warnia does the colors. She's doing some stuff.
Do me a favor. Give us full names and where we can reach these people.
Okay, yes.
Plug
so
them.
Samir Samau. I don't know his Instagram. He's on Instagram. He does pencils, inks. Warnia Sahadiwa. She is on Twitter and Instagram. Again, I totally forgot their handles.
That's okay.
Warnia's exploding. She's doing some stuff for Mad Cave. I think she's been doing some vault colors and stuff. She did the colors on here. I hope we can get her back for volume 2. I have no idea. I'm crossing my fingers. Knock on wood for me, please. And then Letter Squids. Justin from Letter Squids. Letter Squids is his studio name. And maybe it's a combination of both, but you go throughout this whole process and you're working, you write it, and then they take it and they draw it, and then they color it, and then Letter Squids comes in, Justin with Letter Squids, and he puts letters on it. So you get through this whole process, and it's so damn relieving seeing it lettered. But then, as you can attest to by seeing it, Justin just takes it up a whole other level, and he's an artist in and of himself. He's creating little drawings within lettering. And there's a moment in issue 2 where it's just I want to spoil it so damn bad, but I can't. But I got that page in from him, and I clap. I had nothing to do but clap because what he took it and made it, it was just incredible. So I'm very blessed to be with this creative team.
So Dante has a question which is going to meld in with what I wanted to ask you. He asked, what's your elevator pitch if you were to sell to a show or a movie about it? So that going along with me asking you, tell us what this story is about. Sell me this book right now. Sell everybody in the chat room why they should buy this book. What is it about?
How long of an elevator ride do we have?
We got time, man. Go for it.
Here's my one story elevator ride. Escalator ride, 2-step escalator ride. It would be drunk carnies with superpowers. That's the most simplistic.
I think it's a lot more involved than that. You know, you're selling yourself short just saying that.
It's so it's like I said, it's this Superman story. It's not bad Superman. It's this story about this guy who had everything in the world and he still managed to fall flat on his ass. You know, Richard McCoy has the powers of a god. He's a walking god, you know, in a human shell, and he couldn't stop the end. You know, and that sets him on this trajectory where he turns to alcoholism to cope. You know, and this group, as you'll find throughout these issues, and as the story goes along, it's a pretty touching story about found family and finding family where you have none, and providing hope and joy even when these characters can't bring joy to themselves. As you can see by the cover, Rich McCoy has no sense of joy about himself. He has nothing to live for. But at the end of the day, you know, it's that hope, you know. And then the other aspect of it is we put people on pedestals all the time, right? Mm-hmm. You turn on Entertainment Tonight and you see this A-list Hollywood couple eating dinner. I don't give a shit that they eat dinner. You know, you and I eat dinner. Who cares? They paid a lot more for dinner than we did. We probably got a lot more of our Kraft mac and cheese bowls than they got with their little veal steak, you know? And it's kind of part with that, you know, we put people on pedestal. We set people up to fail all the time. And that's very much the case with Richard McCoy, and he knows it. You know, he knows he should have stopped it, but he couldn't, just because, you know, everyone kind of pumped him up into something he's not.
Well, you know, for me as a reader, I don't know how much I'm allowed to give away. Mm-hmm. From the first panel, just the first page, you see that, you know, the tragedy, you know, the real harsh things that happen where you lost the age of heroes.
Mhm.
And right away you have an understanding of why this guy's an alcoholic. When you continue with flashbacks as you go, and it just shows how fallible we all are and how
Mhm.
things can go wrong in a heartbeat, and how do you react to that. And sometimes you lose yourself when a tragedy happens and knocks you on your ass. And I see a redemption story coming in this, and I'm a sucker for that stuff. Darth Vader, I'm a sucker for redemption. I am. I'm a sucker for the guy that, like the Rocky stuff, and just, all right,
Mhm.
you got knocked down, but are you out? I love that. And you can see that possibly, coming. But then again, this has been a rough book, so maybe not. I don't
Uh-huh.
know.
Right.
But yeah, I was very impressed, and I think you're also kind of simplifying it, saying it's Superman. Yes, he's got the powers of God. He's Superman. There's magic. There's demons.
Mhm.
There is a character with a set of powers that's pretty original too. The metal, the coating of metal, and he can create metal objects and things like that. I mean, there's a lot of action panels in this as well, mixed in with the pacing, which I think is great. It keeps you engaged, because I think these days too many superhero books have become too dramatic, to where, to me, it's the difference between the original Star Trek series and Next Generation. Next Generation was more soap opera-y,
Right.
and the original was more, let's go to chopping and kicking and
Mhm.
fighting. But there's a nice blend of both, I think. So you came up with this idea, and you're like, all right, I'm going to fund this myself. You didn't do a
Mhm.
Kickstarter. You funded this yourself.
Sure did.
That's awesome. I love that. Having said that, you have a publisher that's putting the book out for you.
Yes, it is Scout Comics. The Scout Comics. I am so fortunate, man, that they came aboard, and like I hinted to at earlier, you're looking at these small press publishers, and none of them want to touch a Cape book. It's you log on Twitter, and so many people say there's too many superhero books. Marvel and DC, they put out how many books a month? 200 some, or whatever the separate titles are. So if I
But
go
there
an
aren't a lot of
indie,
quality superhero
right,
books out.
right, and that's the thing. It's because it's the same thing, man. There's 5 million issues of Spider-Man in existence. This isn't a guy swinging around on webs. We wanted to create something that's fresh and original, and that's what I between the setup and, I'm not gonna lie, I would assume the branding, of the whole package had a little bit of persuasion or sex appeal. Let me put that in quotes because it's not sex appeal, but you get what I'm trying to say. It had some sellability. I pitched it to Scout, and they were all on board with that. I think at the time I submitted it, they even said on their submissions page that they preferred not Cape books. I know there's some flat out publishers that don't even like to look over superhero books, but alas, here we are, and they picked it up, and it gets published 5 weeks from Wednesday.
That's awesome. So we're looking at December 2nd, you said?
December 2nd, first week, Wednesday, right after Thanksgiving, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, December 2nd.
And this is going to be distributed through Diamond. It's going to be in comic stores. I mean, what's your distribution deal? How many comics are going out?
However many people ordered, hopefully millions. I have no idea. I haven't got order
Have
numbers.
orders been placed yet, or?
Yes. So it was in previews. It was in October previews, and that's already wrapped up. If your local comic shop goes direct through Scout, you could still probably squeeze in some orders. Otherwise, just whatever shops ordered. I do like how Scout does their distribution. Excuse me. There's so we had a 3-issue micro series, right? And the whole Diamond Monster. I'm a virgin. I have yet to break into comics. I'm a no name, and the way the distribution set up is, I would have had to sell all 3 issues and solicit all 3 issues before the first issue even hit the shelves. How am I supposed to sell issue 3 of a new series when no one knows who my
Right.
name is, right? So what Scout's doing now is they push the first issue. They see how the first issue does. They get retailer reaction and all that stuff. And once people know what they're getting with issue 1, that's when we're going to start selling subsequent books, just to give retailers. It's more of a retailer thing than anything. It's going to offer them reassurance. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. And comfort. They're
reassure. There you go.
Reassure. There you go.
Listen, people I have that effect on people. They get, especially women, they get tongue tied in front of me.
Right. No, but it just provides so they're not buying 50 issues that sit on their shelves. Well,
listen, everybody, you have to go to your local comic shop and request it. Seriously, and I'm being very serious. If I came across a book that I maybe didn't think was great, wasn't well written or whatever, no, I'm not gonna bash a creator, but I wouldn't elaborate like I am. I genuinely enjoyed this book. I really did. I'm actually going to I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to ask for I'm going to buy copies, and I want to see where it goes. So I really recommend that you all do. And if you buy it and you don't like it, then I'll buy the book off of you. But I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you.
Guarantee.
It's a good book, and I wouldn't lie to you. So Scout's going to put it out, but you had said to me about what was going to be the New York. Did you want to bring this up, or?
Yeah, so with everything that went on with COVID and coronavirus and the delays, this was going to be an earlier release, and as such, we had planned for a New York Comic Con exclusive. And as New York Comic Con was supposed to be the first or second week of this month, we had Scout released 4 exclusives. They did a shit show exclusive. They did Grit, It Eats What Feeds It, and Phantom Star Killer, I believe. So yeah, if you want to, it is a premium price because it's the New York exclusive variant, but it's the first issue is out in the wild. You could go to scoutcomics.com right now and buy it and get the first issue technically before anyone else. There's a nice little surprise in there. I said earlier I was sitting on a tome of short stories, and there's a fun little short story in there. Think if Rob Liefeld was in charge of developing the Care Bears, and that's
okay.
And that's
you piqued my curiosity.
And that's where we go with that short story. And,
hey, I'm sorry, Dante or Bill or somebody, could you do me a favor? Can you just go look at Scout Comics and see if you can pull up the link to where his book is and put it in the chat, if you don't mind?
That would be excellent.
Also, do you have a copy of the book that you could just show on the camera, or we forgot to discuss that before?
I could. You know what? Here, since I'm mobile, let's go on a little tour. You might see my house. Let me go grab this.
That's all right. If we see hanging underwear, tidy whities, we won't say anything.
Yeah, you won't see anything besides all my nerdy stuff, my Blu-ray collection, and all my toys.
Nice. Just remember, yellow in the front, brown in the back if you have tidy whities.
Right, exactly. Otherwise, you might have problems if it's the other way around. All right, so here we go.
Now, do you have variant covers for this besides New York, or is there just the one cover and then the New York cover, or?
We do. Through
Diamond? Yeah.
No, yeah, we do. Through Diamond, we had a cover A and a cover B. Cover A is Rich taking a drink of beer. Imagine that as the demon just destroys all hell behind him. It's
Dante, always coming through. Thank you, Dante. He put it in the chat.
Awesome. There it is. So actually, cover A is this, but it's colored, right? So this is the New York Comic Con sketch exclusive. Nice. It's super gorgeous covers, too. They go overboard with these. It has super ultra thick cardstock. I mean, if you send this in, it's certainly a 9.8. There's no scratches or anything. Yeah, here's New York Comic Con. It's the sketch. And then cover B is done by a fellow named Juan Angel. And he is, if you've seen like the Rolf Grassettis on Instagram, these character designers, he's not a sequential artist or a traditional cover artist by any means. But he developed this super badass cover. I'm going to make print of it sometime. I'm not sure if I was supposed to even say that. But I've got I call it a Game of Thrones homage. If you've seen Game of Thrones, you know it's the Iron Throne, right, with swords. But instead of the Iron Throne, we have Rich McCoy and his aluminum throne of beer cans. So he's sitting there lunged on his thing of beer cans. But yeah, here's New York, and there's that, and here's the book, and I will
See, I'm
give
telling
you.
you, the book gets into it right away. It really does. It gets into it right from very first panel. It gets into it right away. But then the pace is solid. It's not rushed.
Let's. Can you see that? Can you see that? There's. You
Oh,
can
it's the
see.
Care Bears.
There's
the Rob Liefeld Care Bears.
Yes, I don't want to show the last page because you will shit yourself. Maybe, hopefully. But yeah, here's what you're getting. Here's page 2 and 3. And like I said, this is online. If you search "shit show comic," you're going to see all that. Anyways, there's the first 2 pages. This is this big. I had no say in this character design, man. But once I got the first sketches of Balaam, I'm like, man, this is game over. I know I'm gonna write this story. I know we're gonna get this picked up.
So can I give them a little bit of a detail, like not spoiling anything that happens, but just Balaam as this demon basically wipes out all the heroes.
Yeah. Oh, that's that's not even a spoiler. That was in the solicitation and all that stuff. We are in shit show. We are on an Earth that once had hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of heroes, and now it's apparent there's not any of those, and those had to go away somehow, and it very much has to do with the introduction of Balaam to Earth, and you'll see very shortly what causes to make everything goes away, but it goes right into this little fella right there, as you can see, drinking his. If I'm going to do a shameless self-plugging, if I have any home brewers or anything, get at me, because we can totally brand this beer and do something with that. It's totally
nice. That'd be cool
free.
Sponsorship. Yeah, look at that.
Product placement, all that stuff. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, there's some action-packed pages, and you see some heroes get it, and and in some graphic ways, yes. and Balaam is, to me, like when I read Teen Titans, and you had what's his name, Raven's father, Dante. Come on, tell me, Dante. Raven's father, the demon in Titans. Anyway, every time they fight him, I'm like, there's no way they should be able to beat this dude. He should just be crushing them. And when I watched Balaam fight these heroes, that's what it made me think of what should have been with that. Where you're fighting this major demon, and powerful demon, and yeah, he kicks the shit out of all the heroes.
Sure does.
Trigon, thank you, Wade.
Trigon. Yes,
so, and it kind of reminded me not aesthetically, and not that you took a story from that. It reminded me of what it should have been anytime they fought Trigon. Thanks, Keith. So I really enjoyed that. It was, and they had a little bit of banter with the heroes, and like how you usually see banter with heroes, except this time it didn't go well when they were fighting. So I love that.
Yeah. No, that's the thing, and it all comes back to either the very blatant homage to or drawing from personal demons or demons that come within. Obviously, we introduce a physical demon here, but
I was going to ask you about that metaphor.
Every fight you fight in life's now winnable, and that's the truth. It's not all sunshine and rainbows all the time. Yeah, you're going to eventually make it through. I have the whole dust falling and the fallout thing, throughout the book. And that's kind of Balaam personified, I guess. It's just like, man, you're not going to win every day. You're not going to win every fight. You're not going to win every argument. So you get through it. You either get through it or you don't, man. You might be kicked and scratched and bloodied and bruised, but you either go forward or you don't, and that's very much the story behind Rich here.
Dante says, why aren't there any boxers or briefs or underwear with the shit show logo on it?
Just that might be a Kickstarter thing, man. We'll see how far we can push the boundaries. I don't want to introduce the whole skid marked boxers thing, but that could be a Kickstarter edition or something. We'll have to see.
So on the 2nd, you have it being distributed to stores coming out, and I hope, obviously, that there's a lot of orders. That goes very well. you said you're planning on the second issue, and you're going to go the Kickstarter route for that.
No. I mean, second issue's already done and in the hopper. After
Okay.
this, I might actually send you a little sneak peek too, if you don't share it with Keith and Wade and all those people and spoil it for everyone.
Sorry, guys, it's mine.
Yeah, it's only filled. No, I mean,
Do your own show.
This whole first volume's funded. The Kickstarter thing will probably come after the first volume as I work on the. I really drawn to these pulp magazines, amazing stories and startling stories, heavy metal, things like that. And I want to do. I'm not going to get in trouble for this. Who's watching? I don't know if any of the Scout guys are watching. So I want to do this anthology, the Shit Show Presents type thing, where each short story builds off a thing. I have a couple stories that are gonna go from issue to issue. Part 1, part 2, part 3.
Right.
But I fully intend to launch a Shit Show Presents #1 Kickstarter. I have 5 short stories either done or in production. And that's going to introduce you to, I mean, I just said we had millions of heroes at one point, ranging all the way back to 2498 BC or whenever they were starting to build the pyramids, so there's that. And that's what I plan to kickstart. So be on the lookout for that. I don't know. It's going to be the first of the year. You get on Kickstarter now and there's thousands of people doing their Kickstarters before Christmas comes around. So we're going to be in certainly the post-Christmas, post-holiday bunch. So that's when I want to kickstart.
A holiday book.
Yeah. So what can I say? We do have a Christmas story.
If you get in trouble, don't bring me into it.
No.
I didn't pull this out of you.
I do not know. I've teased it on Instagram, but there is a shit show. There's Shit Show Merry Shitmas #1 floating around. I've teased it on my social media profiles. How you and the masses will be able to consume that, we will see. But since I've already posted it on social media, I can't get in trouble now, I don't think.
Now, do you feel the title in any way hinders audience, though?
Absolutely.
Do you think it would put people off seeing that title without even looking at the book?
Absolutely. No doubt in my mind. I've only talked to one retailer. I mean, there's several retailers that do the live auctions and stuff, but they won't say Shit Show. I'm fine with people calling it Poop Show or S Show or Shot Show because the logo actually kind of looks like Shot Show a little bit.
Well, because the I in shit is
there's an asterisk.
Yeah.
So I did that to kind of help it, and I went to great lengths to make Shit Show I don't want to say family friendly, but as wide of an audience as possible. And then I look and Scout just released a book called Penis like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, what the hell? I'm doing all this stuff, and they didn't even put an asterisk in Penis. So
well, because we're in a very pre-judgmental society, and like when you told me about the book, you gave me the title, and that's all you gave me at first. And I'm not gonna lie, the first thing I thought was, what does he want to promote on my show?
Yes. Yep.
So I asked you for more detail. And you were forthcoming because the book itself is great and there's nothing wrong with it. There's a lot worse as far as graphic content out there, and there's no sexual content or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, there may be a prejudgmental stigma put on a book named Shit Show.
Totally.
Which I would think is a shame because it's a very good book.
Right. I'm fully aware of that. I knew that was the problem going into it. It's the whole kind of repeat of Jackass. I mean, I was in school and Jackass was a huge thing. And if we said Jackass in school, we'd get in trouble. So we're calling it Jack Butt or Jack or whatever, But then that's the thing, I was so sold on the name and, my personal anxiety was like, well, if Scout comes back, it says they'll pick it up, but they changed the name. Are you going to sign that contract? Are you going to, go through them to distribute and all that stuff? And I eventually got to the point. It's the name perfectly describes what the
It
book
does.
is.
It does.
This was developed far before 2020. We started developing this in 2018 before we knew what kind of a shit show 2020 was going to be, and it's just been this
So it
huge,
might be more appealing.
right, this huge mess of a year. So I totally know. I mean, it's not a all ages book anyways. It'd be slapped with a mature readers thing.
Yeah.
If it was called The Magnificent McCoys, or if it was called Drunk Legend, or if it was called any other thing, it would still get the mature readers thing.
Right.
Now, some people might pick it up and miss the mature readers sticker in the top left corner.
But when they see shit show, they'll have an idea.
Right. When they say shit show, you can't, mention me on Twitter getting pissed off that you see all sorts of things. It's called shit show. You know what you're getting, and like you said, there's no sexual content. I don't even swear that much, and I think there was a couple.
There's a few shits in there. That's
There's
it.
a few shits.
I don't remember an F-bomb. Just a few shits.
Yeah. Now that you say that, there might be an F-bomb later.
Well, I have to say, well, first of all, I applaud you on sticking to your convictions. That's what made sense to you. That's what you love to stay with it. I agree with that. The second thing is, after having read the book, the title totally makes sense. It totally fits. So I would hope that nobody prejudges the book by its name, because it is a quality read. And once you read it, you'll say, okay, that makes sense. Because to be honest with you, from panel one, it is a total shit show.
Right.
Yes. And this guy, especially this, legend, especially, but it is a total shit show for everybody. The world, the heroes, even the humans that are existing after this whole cataclysmic event. Just, it has a post-apocalyptic vibe to it too, where people are just trying to get on with their lives after this major event, and you don't know what happened or why.
Absolutely.
So don't be deterred by the title. If you are, it really is a worthy read. So are you ever going to do like a trade collection of them, like after you've put out 3 issues, and do something like that? Or are you going to wait until you've got several of the volumes out and you can do a nice big 6-issue trade? Or
I think volume by volume makes the most type of sense.
We do like extra content.
Yeah, since 3 issues is a little light for a trade. That's where the short stories will come in. Ideally, I would do 1 volume in either 1 shit show presents or 2 shit show presents, and then how I write, I do official handbook of the Marvel Universe. I do a character entry for each character before I actually write them into a story or whatever. So I have the background and.
You did that in the book too, like the character's name and their power set, and I liked the way you did that. It was kind of classic.
And that's the very first note we got. The first person who read through the script says, "Adam, there's way too many characters in it, so I'm not going to take any of them out." So then I'm like, "Well, if we do that, let's just put their names in there and introduce them." And
it was good.
If people need to, they can flip back and say, "Okay, this is Legend," but they're all so different designs. Once you know this is Legend and that's Macabre Mel, and that's Billet, and that's Lightspeed, and that's Maxine. Without getting into it, you won't need to know those names too long, anyways.
But you did it in a good classic storytelling way. I liked it, and I'm one of those guys that I read a book and it takes me many issues to remember who the hell is who. I mean, I'm not good with names. I never have been. Like when I read The Walking Dead, sometimes I'll be like, who the hell is this character they're talking about again? Because I forget. I mean, there's just so many characters. So I like that reference. I like that personally.
And that's that's an excellent thing with superheroes. You can do flashy, bright costumes that are more recognizable rather than 10 humans walking around in jeans and cowboy boots. So it's
now. Do you ever have plans on, once you've put out a lot of stuff, to try to pitch to Image or something like that, or you know what, Scout's doing the job, we're happy with Scout? And I mean, I'm not trying to make you like say anything bad about Scout. I just mean for other projects or something through Image, and does Scout let you keep the creative rights?
Absolutely. I am 100% copyright holder of Shit Show. I have 0 bad things to say about Scout. They've let me have complete creative control over this.
Nice.
They let me keep the name Shit Show. They let me keep that. They hooked me up with an editor, Andrea Molinari.
I was going to ask you about that, because a lot of indies without editors, it's very tough to people don't realize how important an editor is. It's not just making
Oh,
sure there's no typos. It's making sure there's continuity in the story, making sure panel to panel the art has continuity. You can't be in front of a tent and then all of a sudden you're here when it's supposed to be the same scene. And editors are very valuable, even if they're a pain in the ass. They're very valuable.
you have to have it. I was a little apprehensive at first, but I will never write another script or produce another comic without it. If you just need it. I mean, even if you've edited other books, you need different eyes on your book because I can't tell you the number of times I've read through Shit Show #1, man. We just signed off on creator proofs, and that had to be the 500th time I've read through Shit Show #1. It's just, and
So
even
you can
then,
recite it now.
I could read you the whole first page if I wanted. But that's the thing. Get an editor, and Andre has been incredible. He offers notes. He hasn't forced anything on me. He provides notes, and if I like it, we go with it. If not, I'll say, piss on that. We're doing it my way, and we're grown ass adults, and we're okay with it. But no, everyone's been great, and like I said, I pitched this through this Christmas story out of thin air on them, and they're okay with it.
So he's an editor through Scout, right?
Yeah, he does. I think he does freelance too. I'm not. I know I just was looped on an email chain with him, and he was editing like half a dozen Scout books just this month. So I'm not sure if he does freelance or anything. But yeah, I met him through Scout.
So tell us about your pitch to Scout. I mean, in detail, how'd that go, and what made you choose Scout, or did it just happen to be you pitched to a ton of people and?
I pitched to two people. One, I knew I wasn't going to get, and the second one, I was hopeful, but I wasn't expecting anything. And we did. No matter how you pitch, you're going to have sequential work. You can't send their script in, and they're not going to greenlight it on anything. I'm not Matt Fraction or Chip Zdarsky or Brian Michael Bendis or who else has. Rick Remender has 7 image titles at any given time, or Jeff Lemire. So I developed the 6 pages, put it together in a nice thing. I had the log line, the synopsis, and the whole outline, spoilers and everything. I wrote not prose, but I told them this person does this person does that, this person lives, this person dies, this person comes from hell, this person goes to hell, so on and so forth, and laid it all out there and included the pages and packaged it up nice because I have a little bit of a graphic design background, and shipped it out, and there we go. 2 months later, a month and a half later, they sent the contracts over, and here we are. They, what was I going to say? I pitched it a year ago last month. So it's been, by the time the first issue comes out, it'll have been 14 months, 15 months.
So what would you tell some other indie creators that are looking to self-fund and get their stuff out there, and and they want to pitch to Scout or somebody?
No problem. If you want to make comics, you got to make it's the most cliche thing ever, man. But going to all these Comic-Con panels before I even wrote comics, everyone would say, just sit down and write. You got to write this, and I'm like, oh, this again. But now that it happened, man, now that I've got a book picked up, you can't make comics if you don't write the damn comic. You got to write it, and if you want, self-funding sucks. It sucks, man. It depends how much you want it. Maybe there's circumstances that prohibit you from working multiple jobs or doing this or doing that. But if you want to do it, do it. If you can't self-fund it through your salary jobs or getting a second job or eating ramen noodles for a month straight, or having sleep for dinner or what have you, Kickstarter, you got to do it. You either you got to write it and then you have to fund it, or by a stroke of luck, find an artist or a whole art team that wants to work with you. You're not going to find a pencil, ink, or colorist and letterer that doesn't take any sort of payment unless you're a super big name and you can do a back end deal or whatever. It just won't happen. It hasn't happened to me. I should say that. Maybe you are the lucky person, and maybe that will happen to you. One, I'll be jealous as hell of you. And two, please send me their information because I might want to work out a deal for another project. But write and fund it. Either work your ass off and maybe sell some comics. I sold plenty of comics, to get through it. And
I tell
yeah,
everybody if you're not willing to bleed or sweat for what you want, then you need to reevaluate how much you want it.
exactly.
I
Exactly. No,
agree.
that's it, man. It's like owning a business. If you
Well, you
can't.
do. You're
Right.
your own
It's
business.
yeah. It's exactly like owning a business. You're paying a whole as art team. You're paying for marketing. I have prints over here. I have prints over here. I've sent. I've probably sent over 100 people sticker packs that I got printed up. I sent 30 stores postcards and posters and stickers, and you gotta want it. And that's the thing. If you don't care for it, if you're in the mindset that, well, I want this story, but I'm not going to do it unless a publisher picks it up or what have you. One, maybe that story's not, you don't believe in that story enough anyways, because self-publishing is totally a viable option. More and more people are just doing Kickstarter and
Hmm.
self-publish. But you got to want to have it, man, and you got to want to do it, and you got to want to make the sacrifices to get to it. Otherwise, and that's in a sick twist of fate. That's partially the story of the shit show. That's partially the journey of Richard McCoy. You kind of gotta wanna do it, and you kind of wanna get better. No one can make you a better person or a better human than yourself, and that's ultimately what it comes down to.
Now, what would you tell somebody who wants to do a pitch to Scout Comics? What should they have ready? How this should they go about it? What do you think is a winning formula to go to a publisher and say, "Hey, I want you to publish this book"?
No matter what publisher you go to, you're going to have sequential pages. You're going to have art. 5 minimum, more to be safe. I wouldn't go overboard and have the first page. If you have a book already done and ready to go, that's perfect. Uh, just a little professionalism goes a long way. If you have a buddy that knows InDesign or Photoshop, kind of help them, at least get you a logo or a presentable logo or a decent layout. You can look on Microsoft Publisher. I think Microsoft Office is like $10 a month or something like that now, and download Publisher and actually do a layout for your pitch thing, or even Microsoft Word. At least do something that's uniform and brandable and sets you anything you can do with the pitch that sets you apart from the 20 other pitches they have to read per day, the better. So at minimum you're going to need, I would say, 6 pages to be safe with sequential art, and a pitch packet to that stands out and sets you apart from the rest. But
Now, what would you say with a pitch packet? What would be in it? What would you say makes you stand out? Or do you not want to reveal?
no, I can't. I plan on, this is one of the things I plan on including in the trade someday. It's so I have a background in marketing and graphic design. So I designed a PDF. It has a cover and it has the nice logo. I made the logo. It has the cover, and then it has trade dress. I wish I could pull it up somehow. But like I said, it had the log line, the synopsis, the outlines, and all the pages, and a couple cover options as well. And I just dressed it up because I'm fortunate enough to be self-taught in graphic design,
Nice.
and that's how it is. And look at Fiverr, FIVERR.com. That's a really cheap site or affordable site to get graphic design stuff done. And Upwork or network. That's the one thing. If you network and network and network and come across someone who knows somebody, maybe they'll help you out. If they have time on a weekend and that they're looking to pick up some freelance work, maybe you can toss them a few bucks. Maybe they're a huge comic fan and say, hey, I will give you 1 comp of every variant we get print if this gets picked up. I don't think of something, try making deals, try doing what you can to make it happen. I would just make a nice, clean, tight, presentable pitch packet. I'll publish mine sometime. Obviously, like I said, it's has the full outline, so it's not probably going to be until issue 3 comes out because everything's out there on the line, and I'm not going to spoil it before the first issue comes out.
Right.
But it just comes back to the drive, man. You gotta have that, and you gotta feel good. If you feel good about your story, and if you feel good about your product, you know how far that can carry you. If you don't even believe in the story enough to not continue it, if it's not picked up by a publisher, I don't think that's something worth pursuing, right? Because if you can't tell it on your own, what's the publisher? A publisher is going to get you on with Diamond, you know.
Right.
Publisher's not going to pay you page rates. At least small press publishers won't.
Right.
So you're going to have to find some way to do that, you know.
Raphael said, "Yep, just right."
There you go.
And Andy Lee, I mentioned at the beginning of the show, let's do this. He said, Adam, your passion and resolve is really inspiring.
Oh, sweet. Thank you.
Eternity Forever said, I think Dark Knight Returns started the new wave of narration in mainstream comics. Stan and Claremont are overly wordy in their narration, too. And I agree with that statement. And it even goes back to what you said. Frank Miller was a big influence on you with your writing style, which it just makes sense with what he's saying. He or she, I'm sorry, I don't know if Eternity is a male or female, but what they were saying. So we're going to wrap things up soon, but I want you to take the next few minutes, however you need to, pitch us why they need to go to their local comic store and tell them, I want Shit Show on the shelves and in my pull list.
Okay, I'll tell you 2 answers. The first answer, I just checked online banking and it could use it. So go to your store and buy all the comics. But no, it's like I said, it's thank you for bringing the whole, preconceived notion thing up, because I know you look at Shit Show and it's not going to be an eye catcher. It's not these sentence long names that have kind of like a hipster type feel or a top shelf snooty type thing. I don't want to say anything because I just called snooty, but you know what I'm saying? They're a mile long, and it's just got this other vibe to it,
Honestly, 2 syllables, if you look at proper marketing, 2-syllable words are usually the best thing. It's quick. It's what rolls off the tongue. Shit Show. Bang. The more syllables, the more time people wind up making a shortcut for the name anyway.
Right. And I mean, by choosing that, I may have shot myself in the foot, but it's this very human story dealing with these superheroes. I could see this happening in real life, even though this guy shoots lasers out of his eyes. It's a very human take on superhero stories. And I like we talk about with the themes, it's something we always deal with. I've never personally done anything with alcoholism. I don't know why I chose that as Rich McCoy's coping mechanism or whatever, but
it's probably the most realistic.
Right, and that's a part of it. I didn't want to go full blown heroin or something like that. So let's just do alcohol for now. But we all battle shit every single day, man, right? We all go through stuff. We all go through this stuff. Doesn't matter if you're Jeff Bezos and have $700 billion you made today. He's still going through shit, and you and I, we're going through shit. And that's very much what this is, man. It's a very passion-driven tale that's personally forged out of my own anxieties, I think, in a sense. It's a superhero book, but it's a fresh enough take, and I hate using the words grounded and gritty. There is some gore, there's some swearing, but it's very personable, and I hope these characters are someone everyone resonates with at some point. I think there's a character for everyone within the book, between the various personality types and skill sets and attributes and all of that stuff, and we build on that, and it's that's about it, And like I said, it's about found family and getting help where you may think there's no help, but there's always help if you look for it. There's always going to be someone to come to your aid, and all of that. And that's kind of my pitch, man. It's a superhero book. I wanted to tell a damn superhero story, but I wanted it to make it something other than Batman or Superman or Spider-Man or Wolverine.
Well, everybody can relate to a fallible human being, period. So if you look on the bottom, Instagram and Twitter at Adam Barnhardt, Facebook.com/shitshowcomic. The comic does have a New York Comic Con exclusive available out there right now. You can go to Scout Comics and check it out. In this chat link, in this chat thread, is the link to Scout Comics. Thanks to Dante. Dante put it up there. So you can get the early issue. If not, the issue will be in stores, distributed by Diamond and published by Scout Comics December 2nd. Go to your local comic shop, ask for this book, and I'm going to tell you why, as a reader, not the writer, an unbiased reader, you should go pick up this book. I just had a very rough weekend. And it's not over, and it was a rough weekend. And it's so funny how things happen in life. So I picked up this book and I read it before the show because I like to have it fresh in my mind. And from the very first page, it's rough and it's gritty. It's a shit show, but it makes sense, and it gets right into it, and it's entertaining, it's action, but it's also paced very well, where I started to get a sense of who the characters were, where I wasn't shoved, this is the character, and it wasn't forced. It seemed very natural in its pace. And in the 22, 24 pages that
24,
24 pages of the book, no ads, might I add. It's
no
24
ads.
pages of content.
Yes.
We get a lot, but it doesn't feel like too much. And the pace is so solid, and the writing and the narration, the way he mixes the two of dialogue narration, to me was classic, informative, helped move along. It accompanied and complemented the sequential storytelling. The story itself is interesting, and I could relate to feeling like you got gut punched, and you have two choices. You stand up or you stay down. And you don't know what the protagonist is going to do by the end of this book, but you know that he's going to have to choose one or the other. And I found it relatable. You can feel like Superman, and then in a blink of an eye, you could be down on your luck and feeling like total crap. And you have to choose. Do I get up again? Am I gonna fight, or am I gonna just wallow in self-pity? So I enjoyed that a lot. And again, I think the writing was professional. Nothing about the writing said, okay, this guy, needs to tweak this or work on this. It has potential. I think the book is solid as is.
Thank you.
So please go to Scout Comics, pick up the issues that are already available, especially since he has the short story in the back. Now I'm Rob Liefeld Care Bears. I'm interested. If not, December 2nd, it'll be out. But only if you tell your local comic shop you want it ordered, okay? And word of mouth will bypass any preconceived notions of the title. When you read the book, the title makes total sense. You'll see the title in a different light. It makes total sense. Yes, Raphael, we are all in a shit show. But
yes, we are.
It doesn't have to be a shit show always or forever. Right. And I have a feeling we're going to see that in this book, and I'm excited and looking forward to that. We have to support indie artists. We can't keep complaining about the big guys and their monopolies and what they're doing and then not support the indie guys. I may have big, quote-unquote, indie industry names on the show, but this show is for guys like Adam. So please support him. It's a worthwhile investment in his book. What is the retail going to be on the book?
$3.99, I believe, industry standard. I think. So
$4, you get 24 pages of content, not 19 and 5 stupid ads. Okay, that's a great deal. So $4, you get a quality story that I know is going to make you want to see where it goes because I want to know. So, what do you want to say before we go?
Oh, thanks for all of your kind words, man. That really means a lot. I'm glad that at least someone, enjoys the book, and it resonates with you, because it's a very, very personal story. And as with everything, it gets worse before it gets better. I'm not gonna spoil the ending or anything, but it's gonna resonate with everyone that wakes up in the morning and then goes to bed at night, and everyone that walks along the street and walks on God's green earth. So yeah, thanks so much for having me on, first off.
Of course.
And I'm glad you enjoyed the book.
I'm glad you reached out and we wound up fitting you in.
Thank you.
And it's funny how the universe works. The timing was perfect. Actually, let me just say this. Remember in Superman 2 when he took away his powers, he got his ass kicked in the diner?
Mm-hmm.
And Zod is there in the offices, and it's like, oh, crap. And you hear the music start to build, and you see the newspaper flip because you know that he just flew over. And he stops at the window, and he says, Zod, you care to step outside? Was that not awesome?
Right. Oh, totally awesome.
Well,
yeah.
We haven't seen Superman come to the window, but I think we're going to. I don't know. But I just, we're at the part where he got his ass kicked in the diner. And you just want to see that step outside. So that's, I think it's the best analogy I can give. So,
we'll leave it at that. I don't want to comment on that, but I like where you're going.
Adam, thanks, man, for coming out. Thanks for
Phil.
sharing it with us. Again, Shit Show, local comic stores. Let them know now. Diamond is going to distribute through Scout Comics. Let them know you want a copy in your pull list. Okay?
Absolutely. One quick ad. If
Sure.
Diamond's cut off, I encourage you to implore your store to go direct through Scout too. If Diamond doesn't have it, Scout has an amazing direct program. Retailers, with everything that's going on in the world of distribution, Scout's been building incredible retailer relations and all that stuff. So even if they can't order that, because Scout puts out a hell of a lot more good books than Shit Show too. So I encourage you to not only have your retailer check out Scout Direct, because it'll help them save money and in turn make more money on Scout books, but the stories Scout puts out, man, are crazy good.
And one thing, if you do get the book ordered, I highly ask you and recommend read the book. If you like the book, post the book, tag Adam and me in it. I'd like to know. And spread the word.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Exposure. Spread the word. Spread the word. Spread the word. Okay?
Yes.
Adam, thanks a lot for coming out, man. I really appreciate it. I had a good time talking with you.
Yes.
God bless you, and I wish you much success.
Awesome. Thanks, Phil. Thanks for having me.
And you come on anytime you need to plug another book.
Sounds great. Won't be too long, I don't think.
Good. Just let me know and keep me appraised of what's going on. Don't be a stranger.
I will. Thanks, Phil.
Thanks. So that was Adam Barnhardt. Again, the book is called Shit Show. Highly recommend it. I really did like it, and it came at an interesting time for me. Just to tie into everything that happened today, if you get punched in the gut, you have two choices. Stay down or get up. Get up. That's all I'm going to say about that. Anyway, I appreciate all the support. I appreciate everybody comes out. I appreciate some people that have become regulars that are on here, like John Ottinger and Eternitine Forever has been on. And, of course, I appreciate everybody who's been regulars on the show. Thank you so much for your support. Thanks for being there. Thank you to the people that reached out to me over the weekend to see how I was doing. It is greatly appreciated. I love you guys for it, and I really hope everyone meets their dreams and has their success. And everyone is welcome on this show to plug whatever they want, as long as it's not political or divisive. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Please remember, tomorrow, our regularly scheduled program, it's going to be 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, though, not 10, 9 p.m. I have Wade King, who is an excellent artist, who will be on tomorrow. I'm going to post after here to show you the prints that he's going to give away to the best question on his show, and it's really great artwork. So Wade King, tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Again, another independent guy, an independent artist, trying to reach his dream like everybody else. Let's help them reach their dream. We all just want to be happy in life. We all want to feel fulfilled by what we do, and we all want to feel like we gave something back to society. So let's support these guys, okay? Wade King, tomorrow, 9 p.m. Thank you again to Adam Barnhardt today. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Let's continue to build each other up instead of tearing each other down. It's very easy and quick to tear something down, but it takes a community and time to build something up. So let's do that. Let's build each other up, okay? Having said that, be legendary and have fun storming the castle.